Hello, I am back. Sorry it's been a little while. The world has been slightly chaotic, my end. Haven't really found the time to sit and do these. Also, I'll be honest, motivation's been quite low all over. I love doing these videos and I really enjoy them. But the motivation to do anything right now is kind of low, and I don't think that's just me. I think that's just how things are in the world at the moment. But we are kind of coming out of lockdown, shops are open, and well, schools have gone back, colleges have gone back, universities have been forgotten again. We'll not talk about that. So yeah, how are you all? I hope you're doing as well as possible. I really hope if you are living in England that you weren't blown away by the wind last night or today. It was very loud. But yes, this is a tangent, so I will get back on topic because we've done that week, and yes, I will concentrate. So here we are looking at week 7 of SocialEyes. If it wasn't week 7 before, it's week 7 now. Sensitive topics. And this was a particularly useful one for me. I did enjoy it. I found it a little bit more challenging than some of the others, just because I didn't always understand the concept or the reasons behind why something would be sensitive. So I'll start by explaining what a sensitive topic is. A sensitive topic is anything that can provoke potentially a negative emotion. I know emotions shouldn't be viewed as negative or positive, they are what they are, but I do think of things like embarrassment, shame, anger, sadness as kind of negative emotions because I don't like feeling that way. So yeah, topics that might evoke that in another person or potentially ourselves. And the ones that came up were religion, politics, very guilty of that one myself. I do talk about politics quite a lot. Might be why I have no friends. But I digress, we shall move on. Gender, race and ethnicity, appearance, age, smell. Don't tell someone they smell. This is one of those ones that I struggled with because if I smelt like what's it, actually that's not such a bad thing to smell like, is it? Okay, if I smelt really, really bad, I think I would want someone to tell me. And yeah, it's an interesting thing. I never know if people are aware of their own body odour because you do walk past people sometimes and they're not smelling great. Do they know or are they immune to it? I'm not sure. So that was a tricky one for me because I would like to know, and I tend to tell people nicely. I don't say you stink. I say it's some quite strong perfume you've got on there. Yeah, it depends who they are. My friend quite often, if we're on holiday and it's a bit hot, she's like, can you smell my armpits? No. Can you smell my feet? No, can't. And she knows that if I could, I would tell her. So I'm quite a safe person to ask those things. Anyway, moving on. Another one that came up was weight. I guess this comes under appearance. I'm not really sure why you would comment on someone's weight, why that would come up. Yeah, that is an odd one. But yeah, potentially don't do that. It's not nice. It's not necessary. Why should it matter what somebody weighs unless their health is significantly at risk and you are like a close friend or family? Then I suppose it's okay. This is one of those exceptions to the rule. The same with disability, finances. Finances was one I found quite difficult because I don't understand why it's bad to talk about finances or why we shouldn't ask people what they earn, because I see it as purely factual. I'm not sure why it's so emotive. But yeah, so I learned that finances aren't good things to talk about. And then that links back into politics when I talk about it, like the gender pay gap and the glass ceiling. But again, moving on. Accents. Now this is something I find challenging because I struggle with echolalia, is that how you pronounce it? Not sure. It basically means, well, for me, if I'm stressed, or I can hear a siren. They've gone. If I'm stressed or overwhelmed, my brain will repeat what I'm hearing. I think it's to process. This was a particularly sticky situation when I was in an inpatient unit because the OT, she was from Northern Ireland, and I really liked her. Like, she was lovely, and I did like her accent. It was cool. I wasn't trying to mimic her, but other people on the ward would kind of make fun of her accent, I suppose, and that must have been really difficult. I wouldn't have liked that. But for me, I was trying to, I guess, break down what she was saying in my head, but it made it seem like I was also mocking her when I wasn't. In the end, we had a conversation about it because I was super aware that I didn't want to be, I didn't want her to think I was making fun of her when I wasn't. And actually that was a really useful conversation to have, because she then recognised on days when I was doing it more, she was thinking, oh, you're really overwhelmed today. Should we come off the ward and go for a walk to get you sort of more regulated? Or do you need some more time to think about that? So accidents can lead to useful things, but generally maybe don't mock people's accents or make fun of them. It's just not very friendly. Other things that came up were Brexit, potentially sensitive topic, especially if you voted leave. Again, we'll move on. COVID came up as a sensitive topic, I guess maybe because people have lost loved ones. There's also a lot of debate around the jabs. Don't know why. Take the jab. Sexuality came up. Again, not really sure why it would matter to you who someone's sleeping with, potentially having a baby with, if that's possible. I don't care who's in your bed. Like, you do you. I do not want to share my bed with anybody. I don't know how people do that, because, like, people are hot and sweaty and smell strange, and yeah, don't understand that. I know your sexuality isn't necessarily just that, but that's what comes into my head. But no, you can be whatever sexuality you wish, and it doesn't bother me. Like, I feel like it's none of my business. I mean, please don't try to date me or come on to me. I wouldn't like that. As long as you keep your sexuality away from me, in terms of if you are a lesbian, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to spend time with you. Unless you're trying to, like, sneakily seduce me. Wouldn't like that. Same if you're a straight man. It's nice that you're attracted to women, but stay away. Moving on. Parenting is something that you're not supposed to comment on. I don't think I have. Don't know that many parents, is potentially why. But yeah, that came up as a sensitive thing. I suppose if someone's, like, raising their child in a certain way, that's their choice. I don't know, sometimes I guess it could be a little bit difficult if you think that the child's not being given options or free reign, or they're having it forced upon them. That's a little bit more difficult, but ultimately, you do you. I will ignore that. Again, marriage and children came up, so don't ask people if they're married or if they're going to get married, because maybe they just got divorced. Maybe, like me, they don't want a partner. Couldn't think of anything worse than sharing my house with a human. I'd have to have a house first. I don't even have a house. So, yeah. And again, children. I identify as female. I have the ability to bear a child or give birth to a child. Couldn't think of anything worse. But I don't want a baby. I can barely look after myself. Don't give me a human to look after. And I mean, on the other side of things, what if that person is transgender? Or what if that person is infertile or has had miscarriages, has lost a baby? If it's not necessary to bring up, if you're not a health visitor, maybe just don't. You could ask someone if they want a pet instead. Most people like pets, not everyone, but I'm not sure I want to really liaise with those people. If you don't like animals, where do we stand? And moving on again, I'm on a roll today. Health concerns is something that is potentially a sensitive topic. So maybe don't say to the man at the bus stop, I have really bad diarrhea today. It's not a good conversation starter. Could also be contagious. Maybe health concerns isn't for the best. And within this, periods came up. Now, I am guilty of talking about periods quite openly because I don't think they're anything to be ashamed of, or they're just a fact of nature. But some people get a bit uncomfortable. Although there was a funny thing online where this woman sent her husband to go and get tampons for her, and he took a picture of the regular and the bigger ones, and one was yellow and one was green, and he said, do you want lemon or lime? Well, I'm not going to be tasting it, am I? So, I mean, I know periods are a sensitive topic and maybe we shouldn't bring them up, but also we should, because we have to educate people. So yeah, this is where I stand on sensitive topics. I understand, I know now which ones are best to avoid because you might upset someone or offend them, but also there is a fine line between people need to know some of these things. And with death, that came up as something that's quite sensitive. I understand that too, but maybe we should talk about it more. Maybe we shouldn't shy away from saying, how are you coping when someone's died, and do you want to tell me about that person, because I don't mind. This is, I guess, where my autistic brain comes in. I see the majority of these things as purely factual, so I don't necessarily recognise the issue and can get myself into sticky situations. Like, I didn't vote Conservative. Happy to share that. It's true. I am 5'5". Don't actually know how much I weigh, but again, I see those as facts. I suppose when it's about you, it's a bit different, but it's not good to ask people their age, apparently. I really don't understand that one, because I am how old I am. I'm not sure why that's offensive. Oh, I have offended people in terms of age before, and I've been like, yeah, they're about 60 when they're 40. Maybe that's the sensitiveness of it. Not sure. We shall move on. There are consequences of bringing up these sensitive topics that we learnt, and it can make you or the other person feel uncomfortable or just bad or sad. It can lead to your interaction ending abruptly, or that person not wanting to talk to you again. And also, if I upset someone accidentally, I would be devastated, and I would go away and think about that a lot. I'd be ruminating on it, and it's just not nice. So maybe it's best not to comment on it. If it's a positive thing, sure, like, I like your shoes. That's a nice thing to say, that's a compliment, but maybe not, your shoes are ugly, even if they are. There are advantages of not talking about sensitive topics, and the ones we learned were, it can help you to build stronger relationships. It can create better conversations sometimes, although I would occasionally argue more superficial ones, but who knows, depends who that person is, I suppose. Maybe you don't want to go in depth with a stranger. It can improve your relationship and knowledge about the person, because you're talking about a width of things rather than shutting down the conversation by talking about your bowel movements. They can also feel more relaxed in your company because they're aware that you know about social norms and the things that maybe you shouldn't point out or say. And finally, we learned that it can help you build connections, because when you're learning other things about the person, maybe you've got something in common. Maybe they're autistic, or maybe they also like dogs, but if you'd have walked up to them and said, hello, this morning my period was especially heavy, they might work off. And then you're never going to know if they like dogs or not. I mean, that's what I'm taking from this. I could be completely wrong. However, it's not that we can't talk about sensitive topics either. It's about finding the right places and the right people to do them with. So maybe your doctor wants to know about your bowel movements. They tend to ask those questions, don't they? So does the receptionist, but again, battle for another day. Maybe you have a counsellor and you can talk about how you're feeling in more depth, although I still promote talking about your mental health with those in your family and your friends, so people around you. It shouldn't be shameful to talk about mental health, but maybe your counsellor is the most appropriate person to tell certain things. And sometimes where you're doing it. So if you have chosen someone that you can talk to, like a friend, about something, maybe not in the middle of Tesco. I mean, you do you if you want to, that's fine. Then we might need to consider how loud you're talking, which is another thing I do struggle with, is volume control, when I get excited especially. Okay, we're going to move on again. I don't know, my brain is like scattery today. So what are some clues that maybe you've got into a sensitive topic and the other person is uncomfortable? So they might step back. They might shake their head like, oh God, no, we're not going there. Oh, I did this one accidentally. They might put their hands out. That's the next one, like, please stop. It might be like, oh God, don't want to talk about this. Hands on face, anywhere on face, just to say, ah. And they might try and shut you down, like, okay, that's enough. Okay, thank you, that's fine. Yep, got that. That's something to look out for. And as in previous weeks, if you're not sure, ask, either ideally before, but during is possible, and after, in terms of quick fixes, would be good too, just to check, maybe repair if necessary. So the visual we were given to help us remember about sensitive topics is a traffic light. So we've got red, orange, amber, green. Is that the way a normal traffic light goes? I drive a car, I should know that. I hope so. So red, we've got stop. I think that's pretty universal. Think, why am I saying this? Then we've got amber. Think, is it necessary? So, why am I saying this? Do I need to say this? Is it a necessary thing? And then green. If you're not sure, check with the person. Is it okay to tell you about my manky toenail? Some people might be like, yeah. Other people, no. And before doing SocialEyes, I got myself into quite a few tricky situations, and subsequently was taught a quick sort of, I don't really know what you call it, a quick solution, I suppose, something to remember, by a psychologist. They told me that only comment on something if the person can fix it in 5 seconds. So if someone's got broccoli in their teeth, they can fix that in 5 seconds. If someone's hair's sticking out a tiny bit, they can fix that in 5 seconds. If someone has a birthmark on their face, they can't fix that in 5 seconds. If someone voted Tory, I wish they could fix that in 5 seconds, but they can't, sadly. What's done is done. We've got Boris in charge. Okay. So, yeah. If something can't be fixed in 5 seconds, maybe think, oh, should I be mentioning that? Is that necessary? Again, there are also ways of telling people. Discreetness is not the skill I really possess, but I'm trying very hard. So rather than going, hey, you stink, maybe be like, you might need a baby wipe. I'm not sure if that's an appropriate thing. I'm learning too, I don't know. Yeah, so how you tell somebody as well, even if they've got broccoli in their teeth, maybe don't shout across the restaurant, you've got broccoli in your teeth. So, yes. And then we've got check-in questions. So, do you mind talking about this? Am I making you feel uncomfortable by what I'm saying? Again, is it okay to talk about whatever topic beforehand? Are you interested in talking about this? Maybe you don't want to talk about my period. We can if you'd like to, though. Or do you mind if I ask you something? That's another thing. So when asking, for example, about disability, maybe about ethnicity or accent, is it okay if I ask you about your autism? Is it okay if I ask you where your accent is from, because it's really interesting? There are ways of phrasing things, and then if things do unfortunately go a bit wrong, it's those quick fixes of, I'm really sorry, I didn't realise this is a sensitive topic for you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. And that is the thing here. Like I said at the beginning, for me, most of these wouldn't be sensitive topics. But for some people, they might be. If someone's just lost their pet, or then talking about dogs or talking about death probably isn't good. And if someone, for example, has experienced xenophobia or homophobia, maybe they don't want to talk about those areas with you right now. And the same with veganism at the moment. That seems to be a very sensitive topic, which is strange because it's your choice what you put in your body. I think it's how it's approached, and some of these have become societal things, which is a shame. So here we have sensitive topics. Good luck, because I think this is the one I feel least confident with myself. I now know what they are. It's just so individual that it could take a bit of trial and error. Also, just as an update, I'm not sure whether you'll care or not, but in this SocialEyes group, so week 7, I used my mic 3 times. I hadn't really felt brave enough to use my mic up until that point, because I sometimes have trouble getting my words, which again, you're going to be like, but you've just talked to us for 20 minutes. It's a bit different when there are people in front of you. My brain just stops and goes, what if you mess this up? Or sometimes just goes blank. So that's also been major progress that SocialEyes has helped me to achieve indirectly, which is great. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and maybe get a chance to try out withholding sensitive topics or checking what individuals might find sensitive topics. Thank you for watching. Bye.